In other news today, it's a mega military for the Indian Air Force. Now, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh formally inducted medium tactical transport aircraft. The induction of the C295, the ceremony that took place today, was done in the presence of top military officials, including the Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary. The Indian Air Force is procuring C295 aircraft to replace its fleet of aging Avro 748 planes that entered the service over 6 decades ago. The C295 is well known for its versatility and is employed for various purposes, including the tactical transport of up to 71 troops or 50 paratroopers, as well as logistics operation in areas that are inaccessible to heavier aircraft. It is capable of performing special missions as well as disaster response and maritime patrol duties.
Big boost for Indian Air Force's transport aircraft fleet. This is just the first of the 56 C295 transport aircraft. This is the first one that has been inducted into the Indian Air Force. And over the years, 16 will be brought in from Spain in a flyaway condition. By 2025, those 16 will be in, and by 2031, the Indian Air Force will have the remaining 40 transport aircraft which will be made in India. They will be indigenously assembled. The facility has come up in Vadodara. In fact, there will be 5 to 6 squadrons of this transport aircraft by 2031-32, replacing the aging fleet of the Avro transport aircraft that the Indian Air Force has been using since 1960. This will be significant as India will have the capability to manufacture transport military aircraft indigenously. With camera person Satya, this is Abhishek Bhalla from the Hindon Air Base for India Today.
And India Today's Shivarur got this exclusive access to C295 aircraft. This ground report was sent by Shiv earlier from Spain. Let's take a look.
We're here in Sevilla in Spain at an Airbus assembly facility to see something that Indian journalists are seeing for the first time. That is the first C295 aircraft for the Indian Air Force. This aircraft is the first one that's been built by Airbus, a part of 16 such aircraft that are going to be built at this sprawling facility and delivered very soon. This particular aircraft is going to be delivered in just the next few weeks to the Indian Air Force, after which 15 more such aircraft will be built at this precise facility in Sevilla in Spain for delivery to the Indian Air Force. So I'm walking around the aircraft. It's a first look at C295 number 1 for the Indian Air Force. It's going to be fulfilling a long-standing need that's been felt by the Indian Air Force for over a decade. It was a requirement to replace the old vintage British HS-748 Avro aircraft. I'm walking around the first C295 now under the tail area of this aircraft. The important thing about the C295, remember, isn't the fact that the first 16 are going to be built here in Spain. And here on India Today, we've gotten first access to the aircraft also because something very important is taking place back in India. 16 of these aircraft are going to be built here in Spain, but the other 40, as many of you will know if you've been watching India Today and my show, is that the other 40 are going to be built in Vadodara at a Tata facility. These aircraft will have their technology transferred by Airbus to their partner Tata, and then Tata becomes the first Indian private sector company to build military aircraft for the Indian Armed Forces. The Indian Air Force operates aircraft like the AN-32, the Avros of course are being phased out, but these aircraft are going to be fulfilling an extremely crucial need. Remember, the Air Force operates aircraft for many different things, but its transport aircraft are crucial because India is geographically large. We've got all kinds of terrain. This particular aircraft is capable of landing on unprepared surfaces. It's designed for operations of high altitude areas, which is a particularly difficult thing, in aviation because of the thin atmosphere and the various other challenges. And remember, India has important, crucial air bases at high altitude, whether it is Leh, whether it is Thois, the world's highest military airfield which is Daulat Beg Oldi, is also in India, and the aircraft of this kind has been proven to be able to operate from such forbidding locations. Now, 56 aircraft of this kind will be built for the Indian Air Force. That number might go up because the Indian Air Force, apart from replacing its old Avros, also has to replace over 100 AN-32 aircraft. And AN-32s, remember, are of Ukrainian origin. Great aircraft, they're workhorses of the Indian Air Force, but they are also aging and will need to be replaced by new generation transport aircraft of the kind that the C295 is. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen, but with an Indian factory churning out these aircraft between now and 2031, it stands to reason that this very same aircraft should actually replace the AN-32. Apart from the Indian Air Force's own requirement, this is a very versatile aircraft in the sense it's not just a transport aircraft. Look at it as a bit of a Swiss Army knife. It depends on what you put into it. You can sling on a maritime radar, it becomes a maritime patrol aircraft. Very much like what the Indian Navy and the Indian Coast Guard are looking at. About 15 aircraft in total is what they're looking at. It can be used for land surveillance if you put on the right kind of sensor. The Border Security Force is looking for that kind of capability. If you add passenger seats, you can convert it into a short-haul regional airliner. India needs many hundreds of those kind of things. If you add anti-submarine sensors and a torpedo capability, it can become an anti-submarine aircraft. If you put a radar on its back, it can become an airborne early warning platform. So what I mean is it's very modular. It depends on what you want to do with the aircraft, and it can be used for all these different kinds of purposes. So if you have a production line for the C295 in India, it becomes something very useful for India's different and very disparate needs across different terrains. So it's historic in all kinds of ways because the C295 not only fulfills all these needs, but gives India an aircraft manufacturing capability in the private sector which has never been there before. Airbus has had a long relationship with India, but this is for the first time that such an ambitious and landmark project is being executed. 56 of these aircraft being built 100%, almost 100% in India by the end of the entire program. In Sevilla, Spain, this is Shiv Arur for India Today.